All right, Tennessee fans, we know it's been a rough ride. The team has not met expectations at 4-4, 2-3 in the SEC, even following a 52-21 drubbing of Kentucky. But the schedule lightens up. The finish could be big. We bring in Mike Loveall of Last Word on Sports to talk up the Vols and yesterday's performance, first of all, against Kentucky. Of course, Mike, thanks so much for joining us.
Great. Thanks for having me, as always, Mark.
All right, 52-21. So the Wildcats jumped out early. I saw a 7-0 score, 14-7 at one point. Cam Sutton had a big 84-yard punt return. The defense obviously played well against Patrick Tolles. Josh Dobbs on offense getting the job done in an efficient manner.
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. It started out kind of in a nightmare scenario for Tennessee. The offense drove down the field for the first drive, and then we had one of the classic Tennessee mistakes. We fumbled inside the 20, and the Kentucky defense ran it back. And then through that first quarter and a half, it really felt like Tennessee dominated the play. But there was after that second Kentucky score, it was 14-10, and Vol fans were getting quite nervous. And really, you talked about the punt return. There was a kickoff return as well. But the big play of the game was the first play from scrimmage after Kentucky took the 14-10 lead. Josh Dobbs hits Josh Malone for a 75-yard touchdown pass. And the reason that's so key is because it was the first real vertical passing attack of the Tennessee offense of this season, successful vertical passing attack. Kentucky had sold out to stop the Tennessee run. Tennessee was hoping to control the game with their running game, which they ended up doing. But that vertical success enabled the Tennessee offense to get going, and it kind of broke the momentum that Kentucky had. So I really think you got the kickoff return, you got the punt return, a lot of big key third down conversions, but that 75-yard strike to Josh Malone, I think, was the big play of the game, and probably one of the biggest 2 or 3 plays of the season for Tennessee. You got a couple plays in that Georgia game, but as far as positive plays, possibly the biggest play of the season so far, and particularly going forward if Tennessee is able to win out. That 75-yard pass play from Dobbs to Malone might go down as the turning point for the season.
And winning out cannot be taken for granted, of course, with 4 games left to play, but the Vols will be a substantial favorite in the 3 conference games plus North Texas. So your thoughts about the first 8 games of the season in regards to what, not just the results being not quite what Tennessee fans had hoped, but the play on the field?
I think if you look at it from a completely objective manner, which probably nobody has the ability to do, but if you look at it from a completely objective manner, I think you have to be happy with where the program is at. I've said this 100 times. I'm going to say it for the 101st time. You cannot understand how bad the program was when Dooley left. Just the drain on talent, especially in the SEC. Tennessee was in a really bad place. Butch Jones has done a really good job getting talent into the program. Admittedly, he's had a couple of in-game coaching decisions that's caused concern in Knoxville. But if you look at the play on the field, Oklahoma is a consensus top 20 team in the nation. They stand a really good chance of beating TCU or Baylor, which will jump them. Tennessee led that game, owned that game, kind of coughed that game up in overtime. Florida is a consensus top 15 team in the nation. Tennessee had that game in hand, chance to win in a last-second field goal, and lost it on one play in the fourth quarter. You look at Tennessee's performance last week against Alabama. We have not played Alabama toe-to-toe, for the exception of one game like that, probably in the past 10 years. So if you look at the play on the field, you got to be happy where it's at. You look at the record, you're not happy. This is Butch Jones's 3rd season. We're sitting at 4-4 right now. We're traditionally a strong finishing team because our schedule always sets up with Kentucky, Vanderbilt, and a non-conference there in November. So that usually helps us out. We usually are able to close strong because of how our schedule is structured, always playing Florida up front. So if Tennessee is able to close out, finish 8-4, that's kind of the middle area of where people thought we would be. A lot of people were hoping for 9-3. That was the high end. 8-4 was kind of the middle, 7-5. So if we are able to close out, get a key win against South Carolina and Missouri, finish 8-4, I think you're going to be happy with the result. We'll get to a good bowl game. Tennessee travels well, so they'll be attractive for one of the Florida bowls, with the possibility to finish 9-4. So the bottom line is you have to be happy where the play's at. Not happy with the record, but not too disappointed with the record as well. And then if we continue to move forward, if we finish 8-4, particularly if we win that bowl game and get to 9-4, I think going into 2016, expectations are going to be through the roof.
Based on interacting with college football fans, especially fervent college football fans, which reside in the SEC, I was not surprised with the reaction after the Oklahoma and Florida games. But my goodness, the play on the field, the performance on the field should, at this point in the development of the program, as you outline, should take prominence here, the evaluation of Butch Jones and his staff. The Oklahoma game, as you summed up very well, 3.5 quarters of near dominance in that game. Sure, they let it slip away. And if this is happening a year to 2 years from now, then the evaluation's different. Taking Alabama to the wire in Tuscaloosa, this might be the best football team in the country. And so forth and so on. Florida's playing extremely well, of course, and to do what Tennessee did at the Swamp, putting the Gators on the ropes. I know the in the moment reaction, it's gut wrenching to lose those kind of games, but if you step back, look at the program development, the Kiffin Dooley years were losing 5 to 7 games and maybe scaring one big team per year and then getting blown out a handful of times. And this team is consistently taking really good teams to the mat down this schedule, and of course it lightens up. So that's why I asked for the evaluation, because unless something really surprises us, we've seen Bama, Oklahoma, Florida. Unfortunately, the Arkansas loss at home, probably not a good one out of the 4.
That's right, Mark. But Vol Nation is very impatient. It's been a long decade for us. Most Vol fans feel a little bit underappreciated. Tennessee's a top 10 all-time wins program, top 10 bowl wins. Tennessee fans are used to being in the national conversation, and this last decade for Volunteer fans has been absolutely brutal. So the reason you get that visceral reaction on social media is because the fan base is so impatient and so ready to get back to where they were accustomed to. Tennessee is one of only 2 teams in the nation that's never lost, that has never lost more than 7 games in a season, Ohio State being the other. So Tennessee is not used to these 5-7, 6-6 seasons. The level of consistency of this program for the entire life of the program is pretty remarkable and probably underappreciated across the nation. So that visceral reaction comes from the impatience of the fan base. Absolutely.
Mike, probably a bit of an unfair question at this point in the week. It's Sunday afternoon, not a whole lot of time to prep for South Carolina, but the Gamecocks went to Kyle Field, gave the Aggies a run for their money, put up some points on an improved Aggies defense at 35-28. So any thoughts about going into the game against South Carolina?
Well, they've got talent, clearly. They just haven't been able to put things together the first 8 games of the season. Quarterback Orth looked a little bit better than the quarterback play has been. Brandon Wilds is a very good running back, so you got to look out for that. And of course, they do have they do have talent on defense. The big question mark for Tennessee is, can our offensive line block, give Dobbs time to get his passes, his vertical passing game going at second level passing attack going. If Tennessee can get that passing game going, they will do well against South Carolina. I think Tennessee's defense will have another good game. It pays to remember they only allowed Patrick Tolles 14 points total. 7 of that 21 came on a turnover. So I think the defense is going to be able to play well. If Tennessee's offensive line can control the line of scrimmage, the SEC has always been a line of scrimmage league, then Tennessee's offense will be able to dictate the pace of play, and Tennessee will win. But if the one thing that concerns me about South Carolina is their defensive line's ability to pressure Dobbs and get turnovers. That's what will make the difference if South Carolina is able to win that game.
Talking Tennessee football with Mike Loveall from Last Word on Sports. Mike, thanks so much for the breakdown.
Mark, thanks for having me as always.